Warm welcome to all the students. Today my topic of discussion is measurements in clinical research. Clinical research, as you all must be, is a very exciting field in today's research. Before going very deep into measurements, I would like to take a few seconds telling about what a clinical research is. Clinical research refers to research conducted with human studies of specimens collected from specific patients. It might be regarding any drug or diagnostic purpose, or it might be related to some devices. It encompasses some laboratory research on mechanisms of human disease, translational research in which laboratory and clinical activities are closely aligned. Clinical trials of preventing and therapeutic strategies, epidemiology, behavioral research, and health services and outcome research. Clinical research has changed the face of modern medicine today. 50 years ago, at the end of ability to effectively treat or prevent any of the deadliest diseases, people would die of very minor infections. Most of the staples of modern medicine that we enjoy today were still unknown. The common examples of it, like antibiotics, vaccines for polio, several other severe infections, most hormone replacements, and effective drug therapies for cancer and psychotic illness, testing for genetic disorders, coronary bypass surgery, transplanted organs, and artificial joints. You name a disease and there will be a drug available for it. These and other successes have encouraged public enthusiasm for research and belief in potency of modern medicine. Now, as we have been throwing so much of light into the importance of measurements, the first term that comes to our mind is clinometrics. Now, what is a clinometric? It is defined as a methodologic discipline that focuses on the quality of clinical measurements, for example, diagnostic characteristics and disease outcomes. Different clinometric properties such as reproducibility and responsiveness are important in both development and evaluation of measurement instruments. This presentation presents a number of current challenges in clinometrics. There is much confusion with regard to terminology. Clinometric properties are population and situation dependent, and abundance of different measurement instruments in specific fields hampers the comparison of study results. Further challenges lie in improvement of quality of both the measurement instruments and performance of actual measurements, and assessment of the suitability of use in clinical practice. From the perspective of evidence-based medicine, it is essential to have measurement instruments that make it possible to detect clinically relevant improvements that are due to diagnostic and therapeutic interventions. Close collaboration between clinicians, statisticians, epidemiologists, and psychologists is necessary to guarantee healthy future developments in clinometrics, serving the need of both clinical research and clinical practice. Now, present time. It is an interesting time in evolution of clinical research, as the convergence of scientific, social, and technological advances influences the development of new measurement strategies and create new challenges and opportunities in evaluation of treatment outcomes. The purpose of this presentation is to provide a brief overview of the forces of challenges mainly influencing clinical research in general, and measurements specially discuss current challenges in evaluation of treatment outcomes. Measurements are integral to research process. In the last decade, we have observed that rapid evaluation assessment methods used in medical education and traditional ones towards more sophisticated evaluation strategies. Single methods were replaced by multiple methods, and paper and pencil tests were replaced by computerized tests. The normative, if you take pass-fail decision, moved to assessment standards, and assessment of knowledge has been replaced by assessment of competence. Efforts have been made to standardize subjective judgments, to develop a set of performance assessment evidence from multiple sources and to replace the search of knowledge with search for reflection in action in a working environment. Assessment tools such as objective structured clinical examination, which is commonly said as OSCE, the portfolio approach, and high-tech simulation are examples of new measurement tools. Introduction of these new assessment methods and results obtained has had a system-wide effect on the medical profession in general. The commonly used slogan that assessment drives learning, although certainly true, limiting concept. It was therefore suggested that it should be replaced by an alternative motto: assessment expands professional horizons. This stresses an important role of assessment in developing multiple dimensions of medical profession. Recent developments like so-called quantified test, standardized patient examination, computerized case simulation, and present focus on quality of assessment evidence and the use of relative research information to validate the preferred assessment approaches have been impressive, initiating the birth of best evidence-based medicine, which we commonly say as BEBA. However, the problem is that such performance-based assessment consume resource and require a high level of technology. They are not readily applied in developing countries or even in the most developed ones due to their expense and logistical problems. Therefore, we cannot forget the value and of the importance of all assessment methods which recognize the primacy of evaluation by doctors and supervisors in real healthcare environment. There are two types of assessment. The first one that we are the so-called descriptive evaluation that we are familiar with uses words to describe and summarize patient's condition, is in contrast to the quantitative assessment using scales whose summary of achievement yields a score, typically a number. This is an area where the summative faculty judgments are necessary, but certainly not sufficient to pronounce any result, and should be supplemented by the quantified assessment methods of professional performance. The first step in making choice of measurement instrument is to determine the purpose and desired content of evaluation, as it is important to choose the measurement methods that are congruent with the evaluation questions. The choice of measurement methods and construction of construction of instruments is a crucial step in evaluation process because it determines the data that will be collected. If the assessment methods are inappropriate or if there is an imbalance between theoretical knowledge assessment and clinical assessment, unfortunate consequences may occur which would lead to waste of both time and resource. Equally importantly, if the assessments are of low quality, improper decisions could be made which might be detrimental to the future of research or to the welfare of the community. Most evaluation will require the construction of specific measurement instruments such as tests, rating forms, interview schedules, or questionnaires. The methodological rigor with which the instruments are constructed and administered affects the reliability, validity, and cost of evaluation. It is also necessary to choose measurement methods that are feasible in terms of technical possibilities and of available resources. Planners and users of evaluation should be aware of various rating biases which can affect both an instrument's reliability and validity. A more careful specification of content, a proper number of activities performed and observed, structured and standardized approaches such as checklists and rating forms for improving the quality of clinical assessment. With the emergence of complex performance assessment methods in general, there is a need to re-examine the existing methods to determine standards of performance which separate the competent from the non-competent candidate. Setting standards for performance assessment is a relatively new area of study, and consequently there are various standard setting approaches currently available for both written and performance tests. Ultimately, the goal of healthcare research is to understand the burden of illness to the individual and to society, and to communicate the need, the benefits, and the risk of treatment to potential users. Accurately measuring treatment effects in a clinical trial requires an understanding of the treatment's mechanism of action, its intended and potentially unintended effects, knowledge of the target population and clinical setting, expertise in related measurement environment, and careful attention to details in study design, implementation, and statistical analysis. Sound measurement is an essential element of sound science. In the presence of what it appears to be rigorous trial design and robust analysis, the signal of the treatment effect can only be detected if the measurement procedures are rigorous, that is, the evaluative tools are valid and precise, the procedures for administering the tools are carefully implemented, the time points are correctly specified, and the rules for aggregating data are appropriately applied. Like all scientific endeavors, the development, refinement, and creation of new measurement approaches is not performed in isolation. Advancement in science of health outcome measurement occurs concurrently with and draws from advances in biomedical technologies, clinical and social sciences, and changes in the political, economic, and social climate. There are forces of change influencing the evolution of healthcare and the science of health outcome measurement, and examine how this change. Now let us talk about specific objectives of good measurements are to analyze methods for testing psychometric properties, mainly reliability and validity of psychological analysis, to evaluate the adequacy of selected scaling methods, to apply knowledge of instrumentation to description of a psychosocial instrument and a physiological instrument for a research proposal, and to analyze course content with statistical criteria for scale evaluation and make decisions regarding scale revisions. The domain sampling model is presented as the major theory of measurement error, with parallel test model presented as a special case of the domain sampling model. To construct criterion and content validity of psychosocial instruments are explored, and methods for evaluating each of these relative to specific instruments are presented. A variety of scaling methodologies as well as principles involved in design and formatting of questionnaires. Now, what are the current principles or general principles of measurement studies? First will be always a definition of measurement. Measurement has been defined as the process of assigning numerals to variables to represent quantities of characteristics according to certain rules. Next comes is the type of variables, which we know that mainly x and y, derived or independent or dependent variables. Research organizes a question or questions about patient characteristics, methods of treatment or materials and processes used in treatment. Are procedures accurate, valid answers to improve the quality of patient care? To be able to answer questions, we must first convert our observation into measurable quantities, also known as properties or variables. Variable has several definitions like able to vary or alter, susceptible to change, having no fixed value. When applied to research, variables are classified mainly as independent or dependent, which I am sure you are familiar with. Understanding variables, how they may be manipulated and measured, is critical to making correct inferences. The researcher has control over independent variables and can choose to alter or change them. Dependent variables change or react to the state of the independent variable. For example, to evaluate the effect of new residual limb shock has on reducing edema, suppose the researcher first selects patients who have edematous residual limbs. Next, two commonly used residual limb shocks and a new one to be evaluated are applied, and the circumferences or volumes of residual limbs are measured. In this case, the independent variable is shocks and the circumference or volume of residual limb is the dependent variable. There is control over which sock is applied, but no control over how circumference or volume of residual limb reacts to changes in pressure presented by the socks. For another example, foot has been designed to be easier to walk with and to save energy. The measure of energy expenditure will be heart rate. To perform an evaluation, other commonly used prosthetic feet must be obtained. Subject amputees should walk a measured distance at a defined speed, and their heart rate should be measured immediately before and after they walk. This process should be repeated with each of the prosthetic feet. In this instance, the prosthetic feet are independent variables in that the researcher has chosen the feet while heart rate is the dependent variable. The distance and the speed are under researcher's control, and the effect of the feet on the effort of walking is measured by heart rate alone. Variables are usually denoted by X and Y. The independent variable is identified as X variable and is plotted on the x-axis or abscissa of a graph, and the dependent variable is defined as the Y variable and is plotted on the y-axis or ordinate. Now let us classify variables. A lack of understanding or awareness of classifying variable is a common cause of errors in scientific literature published by allied health professionals. The type of statistical test to be applied to a data set depends on classification of the variable. Variables are classified in two major groups, discrete and continuous. Discrete variables have finite values such as sex, blood type. Variables are classified in two major types, discrete and continuous. Discrete variables have finite values such as sex, blood type, race, manual muscle test grades, and allow subjects to be grouped into two mutually exclusive categories. Discrete variables are often defined by alpha characters such as blood type as in A, B, O or AB, or numerically as integers such as muscle grades like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5. In both cases, there are distances between the values that are neither equal nor defined. If the dependent variable pain was great, moderate equal to 2, severe equal to 3 or unbearable equal to 4, then values between the discrete values and meaningless. Continuous variables such as age, height, weight, blood pressure variables are always numeric and are on a real scale. Find subdivisions. Choice of what statistical test to apply to data depends on whether the variables are discrete or continuous. A judge draws conclusions. A variable can be seen as something that can differentiate between subjects or objects and may have more than one value. The value could represent a quantity, example joint range of motion, or a quality, example gender. There are two general types of variables. A continuous variable in one that can theoretically take on any value along a continuum within a defined range. In reality, continuous variables cannot be exactly measured. The value is limited by the precision of the measurement instrument. Height length, movement, muscle length are examples of continuous variables. A discrete variable is one that can only be described in whole units, example heart rate, or can only be represented by discrete categories, example gender. Now, let us come to the available scales of measurement. It is also important to note that the nature of the attribute being measured determines the rules that can be applied to its measurement. In this regard, there are four scales of measurement, namely nominal, ordinal, interval and ratio. First, let us discuss about nominal scale, which is where objects or people are assigned to categories. Example, classification of sagittal grade patterns in spastic diplegia, for example, into true equinus, jump, apparent equinus, crouch or asymmetrical. Variables assessed on a nominal scale are called categorical variables. No quantitative information is conveyed and no ordering of item is formulas